Hey, guess what? Debut gig coming up in Liverpool. If you're there, go and follow my band's Instagram, because I'm not going to put it on YouTube because some weird people turn up. But if you like music, go and follow it, and yeah boy, we're going to do some cool gigging stuff. Hello guys, and welcome back to another Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord developer blog. In today's developer blog, we will be talking about horse breeds and horses in Mount Blade. Which, to be fair to Tale Words, horses are a pretty big part of Mount Blade. You could almost say they were half of its name, or almost. Of course, in Bannerlord, there are 6 different distinct cultures. These are all based on real-world medieval civilizations, such as the Azari, the Battalions, the Sturgeons, the Empire. There's so many to pick from. The Cursates, all completely unique and different to each other, residing in different parts of the world map and having unique units and so on. They all have their own types of clothing, weapons, armor, and architectural styles, so you're able to tell the difference between them from just a look. And even so, they're not just aesthetic. These changes can be forced into the gameplay as well. For example, the Cursates are better with horse archers. They're quick, moving skirmisher armies instead of big, bulking, strong armies like the Empire or the Russians. Right. But you get my point. We have 6 different distinct cultures, all pretty different. Or are they? Yeah, they are. I'm not going to go into that. But to reflect on this, not only is it the clothing, weapons, armor, and architecture, but also the cavalry and their horses and how they'll be able to play it out. This was not really looked into and explored much in Warband. They all had pretty similar cavalry. Yes, some were a little bit different, like the Saunids, and the Khanates had faster horses, more maneuverable stuff. But all in all, you could get pretty much any horse wherever, and there wasn't much in-depth going into the cavalry and how you could customize it yourself. But never fear, Bannerlord has taken the horsey under its wing. It's going to be a pretty small horse, and it's taken it and gone, look what we're doing here. So there's new breeds attached to different cultures throughout the game. There's something different with this. You don't just get like a sumpter horse or a charger or a courser. Now each breed is in each faction, and each of these breeds can then be upgraded and further trained as different classes. So let's say you have an Azari desert horse, which we'll get onto a little bit later. That could just be a desert horse. It can be a fast desert horse, or it can be trained into a war horse. So you'll have a war horse desert horse, a desert war horse. So each breed can have its own training and upgrade into the horse you want it to be. Of course, these war horses will be a lot tougher and stronger, but more expensive to own and have in your army. So technically there's 12 types of horses, and then on addition to that, you have pack horses and mules, but you can't ride them. We went into that in the last 2 developer blogs ago, where you're talking about how you were moving in the army on the world map. But let's go into some of the types of horses. First off, we have the Azari. This is the desert horse. This is the famed desert horse that has great maneuverability. They bring the perfect combination of swiftness, grace, and endurance. They make excellent war mounts, and riding them into battle is an honor for anyone in the Azari faction. Yes, they are fast, they are maneuverable, but also they have great stamina. They'll be able to go for long distances. Having a lot of these guys in the army is going to make you a lot faster, not necessarily just in the battle, but on the overworld map as well. But because of all these advantages that the desert horses have, they're going to be more expensive, which you're going to have to balance this up. Do you get more desert horses that are faster, more maneuverable, but more expensive, or do you go for the cheaper option? But remember, not only do they have horses in the Azari, this isn't really stated in this developer blog, but remember, you can get camels. This is probably more likely to go around the Azari region, which is something that we're going to have to watch out for. Are you going to want to be on the camels? They're probably not going to be as fast as horses, of course, depending on the terrain, but maybe they're going to be better to be using in certain situations. Are they going to be true to nature, where horses are actually sometimes scared of camels? Or is that going to be a mechanic in Bannerlord? Who knows? But that is the Azari desert horse. Moving on into the Battalions, you have the Highland ponies. Yes, the famed Highland ponies that everyone loves, that all the dwarvic warriors ride into battle. Oh wait, no, there's no dwarves in Bannerlord. But the Battalion mountains are among the harshest environments in Kharadia, and the Battalion breed tough horses that can withstand conditions that few horses can. Now, we have very little information about what advantages and disadvantages you'll have with the Battalion horses, how they will actually serve you in the battle, and how expensive they will be to own, because that's sort of been saved for some of these other horses. So moving on from Battalion, we go to the Empire, the famed Empire that once were a great power in Kharadia, but have sort of splintered out into different places now. They're trying to build back up and conquer and try not to be crushed by the other tribes. And of course, they have the well-known Saddle Horse. Is this the same Saddle Horse from Warband though? Well, similar, but it has its own unique traits as well. Of course, the Empire is known for great cavalry, very much inspired by Rome as well. They have really strong local breeds, crossing them with the best specimens encountered throughout the continent. The Empire's breeding system is more advanced than the other factions. They know what they're doing. They can breed the strongest horses from the best specimens and the best batches. They have Imperial horses which are big and strong. They can even carry fully armored plated soldiers that I would suspect horses like the Highland Pony probably wouldn't be able to do if you had Brienne of Tarth on your back. You might get a little bit crushed. Judging from what we've been told from the Empire's cavalry though, their steeds are probably not the fastest on the battlefield. I would relate them fairly similar to maybe the Swadian Knight. They're not the fastest, but my are they powerful, having that charging damage crushing through the enemy's lines. That is the Empire Saddle Horse. Furthermore, we move to the masters of the horses. No, it is not the Dothraki, but I wish it was. Instead, we have the Kurzates with their famed steppe horse. Now, the steppe horse, I would say, is probably going to be one of the most efficient cavalry on the battlefield. They say Kurzates are born on the saddles. Without a doubt, the horse lives up to that reputation. They're not extremely big like the Empire's horses. They're not extremely fast like the Aserai desert horses, but they have extremely good endurance. They can charge for hours and hours without tiring out. Yes, they do have a lower charge damage because they're not quite as powerful as the Empire's horses. And yes, they're not as fast as the Aserai horses, but instead they have traded that speed for maneuverability, being able to move with surprising agility, going around the battlefield, dodging this way and that, getting around and flanking the enemies. This is not a faction that you want to be charging head on like the Empire or maybe even the Aserai. These are guys that you want to use skillfully in skirmish tactics like I mentioned at the beginning. Having your horse archers firing from the back and these melee cavalry going in from the sides and the rear. If they're used very efficiently on the battlefield, you can deal a ton of damage, but they're going to be pretty tricky to use. They're not the fastest, they're not the strongest, but boy, are they maneuverable and have great stamina. And once again, they are owned by the Kurzates, which means they'll have them in vast hordes, vast numbers. They'll probably be extremely cheap to run, which means you could get hordes and hordes of them, making them extremely deadly and frightening on the battlefield. Now, coming up to the few last horses, we have the Sturgeons. Now, we do know that the Sturgeons are great on foot. That is where their specialities lie, with swordsmen and spearmen, and maybe some archers here and there. But this does not mean that they don't have horses at all. Yes, this time we actually do get horses with the majoritively infantry-based faction. Thank you, Warband. Why did the Nords not have bloody horses? They could have at least had a pony. Right, okay, let's just... Sorry. Yet, these horses are bred for endurance and surviving the harsh winters rather than the strength on the battlefield. Nevertheless, these animals make good mounts for scouts and light cavalry. So yes, like the Nords, they are very infantry-based, focused, but at least they have some cavalry you can use. And finally, we talk about the Valandians. Now, the Valandians are ancestors of the mostly exclusively footmen-based armies of the past, but now have emerged a new class of mounted warriors among them that help them dominate the fertile western plains parts of the continent. Now, what are their horses? Are they fast? Are they strong? Are they agile? Are they maneuverable? Well, these guys are extremely strong and brave. Very little chance of these guys routing in battle. They have extreme toughness on these horses. Charge damage will be incredible. Yes, maybe not agile, maybe not fast, but these guys are going to provide a real hit when it comes to charging in the front lines of the enemy. But once again, like all these horses, they're going to need to be backed up by infantry. You can't just charge in with a fully cavalry force, unless you're maybe the Kurzates, who have that specialized breed of horse, where they have a fast enough skirmish force where that's a possibility to do. But when you have these horses that aren't necessarily the fastest in the game or the most agile, you're going to have to use an infantry-based force as well, having spearmen at the front to support your cavalry when they get into standing combat. But even then, cavalry wasn't meant for standing combat. You need to be always moving. That is the advantage of the horse. But that's pretty much it for this week's developer blog. That was all the horses. You saw what they all look like. You had a little bit of information about them and some background to the factions themselves. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Now come and join my Discord. There's some great stuff going on there. I'm starting up some servers. Yep. Finally, I'm trying to revive this goddamn thing. We're setting up some servers, but all the information will be in my Discord, so click the link in the description if you want to do that. But thank you so much for watching, and until then, I'll see you in the next one. Eniba, who sponsor these videos, are really kind, and they've offered 5 of you guys to win a gift card for their site. You'll get €5 off a game, and of course, if you want to join that, click the Gleam link down. You can do a few things. It's free to enter and everything. That would be great, and that will really help support the channel as well. Once again, you can also just go on their site every Friday to Sunday. They host massive sales with up to 70%, and if you use my code Resonant, you can get an extra tiny bit of a discount there as well. So click the links in the description. You can get some great games for great deals, and you can win some stuff.